Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Proton Pack Podcast. I'm Kris, and with me always is the Groot to my rocket, Tony. Say hey, Tone.
Hey, guys.
I'm Groot.
Hi, Groot. Yeah, man. It's good to be back. Episode 59. A little bit different.
It is.
Today.
You know, it's been a little while. We've been away, but there has been some big news that dropped. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bite-sized episode, not the long 1 hour, 1.5 hour where we break down TV, movies, video games, all of those things. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Disney Investor Day dump that they basically dropped on us of the different properties that they have. And in this one, the part one, we're going to do Marvel. And then stay tuned, and we're going to release part 2, which we're going to record tomorrow, on the Star Wars side of things. So without further ado, no shameless plugs, no intro music. We're just going to get right into it. And speaking of getting right into it, let's go ahead and start with the very first of what we're going to be expecting on Disney Plus, dropping here in January. I believe January 15th was the date that they said. But, let's check out the trailer and enjoy.
Single gal like you doing rattling around this big house?
Well, I assure you, I'm married to a man, a human one.
Wanda.
What's it ring? And I ran. Why do you sleep out of mind?
We are an unusual couple.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
We just don't know what to expect.
Howdy, neighbors.
Hey, bud.
Wanda, what's up?
Who are you?
I don't know.
I think something's wrong here.
Wanda, can you read me? Who's doing this to you?
Are you here to help us? This is our home.
Then let's fight for it.
Well, I think we handled that well.
Ooh, that looks good. That's going to be
It
fun.
looks so good.
Yeah.
I like that little remix, how they do trailers do some of these old songs, and then they just add like this eerie echo, and it just flows. Like Daydream Believer never sounded so good. That was good.
Well, and the funny thing is, we saw the first trailer that was dropped a little over a month ago, and, it gave us more of sort of the TV aspect of WandaVision, never really explained what was going on. This one has a very Jordan Peele Get Out type vibe, where it's sort of this idealized TV thing that they're caught into, and then it's got these weird little glitches that start going off, and obviously reality is a little bit different than it appears for them. And, the second trailer just gave me chills. It has a little bit of a horror movie vibe to it.
Oh, absolutely. If this was a movie, which it's not, thank God it's a series, just because the reason why I say thank God is because then you're going to get more of it. I kind of feel like the TV shows are allowed to tell more of the story versus a 2-hour flick. But if this was a movie, I mean, I would be pumped for a movie. The trailer really got me intrigued because, like you said, when you hear WandaVision, you're like, okay, some stuff on those characters, they were good. But this I'm invested. I want to see what goes on. Like, what's some of the characters? I don't know the actress that's like, I don't know about you, and she winks at the camera a lot. But like in the first trailer, she was like, when Vision went up to the car and he's like, do you need help? And she goes, you're dead. And so she has to play some type of
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Villain, I don't know. I don't like. It's hard to tell what it is. Like, is this all in Vision's mind? Is it in Wanda's mind?
Right.
I don't know what to expect. All I know is after finishing up The Mandalorian yesterday and being done until season 3, this is gonna, if it follows along the lines of that, we're in for a hell of a year in 2021 when it comes to Disney Plus Marvel shows.
Definitely. Big treat. I wonder, are they caught in the Mind Stone? Is there something related to the multiverse? Who knows? Because we know that the next phase is going to deal with the multiverse. Obviously, we've seen or heard bits and pieces of what's happening right now, especially with the production for Spider-Man, and knowing that, obviously the next Doctor Strange movie is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But where does this fall into line with all of that? And then the African-American actress who's in there, she was Captain Marvel's best friend from Captain Marvel. And so how does she fit into all of this?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who are you? I don't know. And then the glitch. There's the little glitch to it. And then there's the agent from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
When they were running too. So a lot of ties in. So very excited for that. We don't have to wait long either. That's just a couple of weeks.
Well, and the other thing is we know it's a limited series. So unlike The Mandalorian where, they can have a cliffhanger at the end to tease the next season, well, there's not going to be a next season of WandaVision. So they're going to wrap it up at the end of this limited series. So they're going to answer questions, and obviously it's going to be a fun ride to go through.
Yeah, and if you're watching this, obviously you're into Marvel and you guys get the gist of it. You don't really have to explain too much of the backstories. But Elizabeth Olsen's character, Scarlet Witch, is going to be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, or Into the Multiverse of Madness. I think that's the title.
Yeah, it's and the Multiverse of Madness as opposed to Into the Spider-Verse, which was the Spider-Man
Gotcha,
animated.
yeah.
But,
so we know she's going to be in there, so it's going to be crazy to see, like you said, does tie into it. Is this the start of it? Do we get X-Men introduced in this, like in some form of fashion?
Right.
Just because if you didn't know, Scarlet Witch is Magneto's daughter.
Yeah.
Which, of course, they could never explain that in the MCU because they didn't have the rights to X-Men. But they do now, so now would be the time to bring our friends back.
Can't wait. And there is talks that we're going to see Aaron Johnson's Quicksilver in this as well. Again, don't know if he's just part of this imaginary world that they're potentially living in, or if they're bringing him back through something that happened through the events of Endgame. Who knows?
And I like this too. The audience is actually a live studio audience. I did
no
read
kidding.
that they brought in a real. It's not like the canned laughter, like we could just add to any show that we do. But it's definitely they brought in to give it that real sitcom vibe, because you had a vibe of like I Love Lucy and the Brady Bunch, and there was even like a Family Ties feel, like when Vision's wearing like that 80s gaudy sweater. So definitely got some old school sitcom vibes. Now, if we can get some TGIF up in there, should be good.
There you go. And that's the thing. It's going to go from sitcoms from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and sort of progress through there. But in any case, that is the next Disney Plus series that we're really looking forward to. And obviously, it's
the audience is too.
Yeah, the first for Marvel.
That's right.
Well,
we have our own audience for the Proton Pack.
Let's move on to the next trailer that dropped for the next series coming out this time in March. And of course, this isn't the second trailer. This is the very first one. We're talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let's go ahead and check that out.
The legacy of that shield is complicated.
The world is upside down. People need something to get behind. They need the symbol. plan. So no plan. Great.
What's going on in that cyborg brain of yours?
You don't want to know.
Oh, yeah, I can see it working. Gears turning. Oh, they're malfunctioning. They're on fire.
God, I hate you.
Awesome.
That looks so cool. I mean, and again, so many questions unanswered. Obviously, we have to wait for the series, but we know that Sam, the Falcon, is basically taking over as Captain America. But what's interesting is nowhere in that trailer do they show him with Captain America's shield.
Yeah.
We know it was given to
Not
him
at all.
by Steve at the end of Endgame, but, what happened to the shield? Obviously, his new uniform is inspired by, sort of the Captain America colors, which are really cool. Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, just badass. And unlike WandaVision, which is a little more fantastical and on the mystical side of things, this seems to be a little more rooted and grounded and more espionage and political thriller, and then obviously just that dogfight type scene where Falcon's flying through the canyons. It looks like so much fun, and we know that Baron Zemo is coming back, potentially as the main bad guy.
He'll get a full front as a more. He's a pretty good villain, but they didn't do him quite the justice, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does. So.
Well, we know he's going to get his purple mask, obviously, from the comic books. But, again, Disney does such a great job at putting these trailers together and showing some great action, giving a little highlights of the humor, but not giving away everything about the story because, there's so many questions I have, and, we won't know until we watch it in March.
Exactly. Like, when does it take place? Like, how far after Endgame? It just looks awesome.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to it.
We also know that it's going to introduce another character that from the comic books known as U.S. Agent, who became another Captain America down the road. But again, another character who was shot up with the super soldier serum, had his own shield, and was essentially a clone of Captain America. But again, I don't know if he's going to be sort of a foil in this, or we knew that he was mentally unstable in the comic book series, and so that might be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. And like you said, it brings it back to just like the action roots of Marvel movies. Looks like it just looks fun. I think the chemistry between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan is great on where they kind of butted heads a little bit in the first Infinity War, and then the way they kind of come together at the end at Endgame was nice. Granted, they both turned to dust at the end of Infinity War, so they went there, they had that in common, came back, and
right, they're
real
like
good stuff there.
They're like brothers who fight all the time.
Exactly. So I look forward to it. It looks like a fun pairing. So
yep. Now let's move on to the next one, which is coming out. Of course, they haven't put a release date out. The only firm release date we know is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier for March, and then everything else is a little more fluid from there. But they did drop the trailer for Loki, which was announced, and I was curious before seeing the trailer how that was going to work. Obviously he's a villain, but sometimes a likable bad guy, and obviously we knew that he disappeared at the end of, in the middle of Endgame, but when they traveled back in time, he got the Tesseract. In any case, let's go ahead and watch the trailer, and that'll sort of explain where things left off when he disappeared into Endgame.
Get your hands off.
You're taking me somewhere to kill me.
No, I'm taking you someplace to talk.
Where I don't like to talk.
But you do like to lie, which you just
The new Wedding
did.
Crashers.
Because we both know you love to talk.
How long have you been here?
I don't know, it's hard to say. You know, time passes differently here in the TVA.
What does that mean?
You'll catch up.
Glorious. Better be ready. Come on. What did you expect?
Oh, damn, that looks good, man.
That
music gets you pumped. And
I want to say that that Taika Waititi has some sort of influence in this because it definitely has that vibe. It has that feel. Obviously he did so well with Thor Ragnarok, and I without a doubt have a feeling that this is part of the multiverse. Obviously, you see different versions of Loki, even in the logo, as the different letters were popping up in different styles. That shows it's probably part of the multiverse. And then I get the feeling that the TVA, whatever that means, is sort of almost like a multiverse waiting room. It's sort of this
like a time traveling thing, like. Because this dude, maybe he could help. I don't know. Just based off the trailer, it just kind of looks like when Owen Wilson's character was like, "You'll find out," which is cool. But that opening scene, that was a nice homage to Iron Man. That looked just like the opening scene of, or not the opening scene of.
I was going to say because that was directly from
that was
Endgame.
ACD, yeah. But he was just like in the dirt or in that desert, like when he tried the first Iron Man suit, crashed and.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
good stuff there. I love how it just takes literally that trailer starts where Loki disappeared with the Tesseract in Endgame. It totally sets it up. That's awesome.
Well, and it's going to be a fun ride. Of course, you get little bits and pieces. No idea who the antagonist is going to be. It's just this hooded figure that seems ominous and scary. And then, of course, you get that little glimpse, just that split second shot of Black Widow sitting there, and
just alone, and that was it's. Oh man, do you think that's her? How once you sacrifice your soul, then you kind of just are stuck there. Mm-hmm. You think that's just where she is? She's like the keeper of the Soul Stone there, and
could be. It's
but they had to go back and fix. See, that's where time travel can mess with you. It's like this will be a different point because. The way Endgame went was Steve had to go back and to the exact points in time. Don't put your brain too much into it because it even gets me thinking. But damn, seeing her just that view with her there is a tease, man.
Well, and that's the thing, obviously Endgame dealt with time travel, which is confusing enough. Now we're looking into the multiverse, which is basically parallel universes all existing at the same point in time. How does that play into it? We see Loki in space. We see him on Earth. We see him in Asgard. We see him in different places with different looks. And so I think he's going to be the ultimate anti-hero through the Marvel universe in this. But how it plays into the overall cinematic universe, who knows? Who knows?
I'm excited for it. That looked awesome.
Yeah.
That of the three, WandaVision's got me pumped. as does Captain Falcon, Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Captain Deadpool.
Falcon. Captain Deadpool. I was thinking Captain Falcon from like F-Zero, like the main character, Captain Falcon. But Loki's got me pumped, man. That looks awesome.
Yeah. And then the next one that we're going to do obviously deals with the multiverse. It is the first animated MCU project. Again, a one-off, and it comes directly from directly from the comic book pages. And I always love picking up these comic books when they did it. But when Disney dropped all these trailers, this was the first one I saw, and this is what got me pumped for everything else that I saw afterwards. So let's go ahead and check this one out. This is Marvel's What If.
Let's go, bub.
Space. Time. Reality. It's more than a linear path. It's a prism of endless possibility.
Well, that doesn't sound ominous at all.
I was promised an army.
You have a super soldier.
You sure don't seem too freaked out about all this, kid. What you doing out there all by yourself anyway?
Exploring the world.
Sounds fun. But why stop at one world when we can show you all of them?
I am the Watcher. I am your guide through these vast new realities. Follow me and dare to face the unknown. And ponder the question, what if?
Give me the tour.
Damn.
Ooh, man, still gives me chills.
Yeah.
And it's
Chadwick. Whew.
Yeah, it's so cool to see that, obviously the voice actors came back to voice their respective parts, but, it poses the question, what if? What if, Yondu had taken T'Challa instead of Peter Quill? You've got Black Panther, who's now Star-Lord. What if Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers, and is she Captain Britain? Captain UK?
That's what she looked like, yeah.
Yeah. And those are just a couple of the questions that it asks, and of course it hasn't revealed, overall, but, again, so many unanswered questions. Zombie Captain America? I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, and that's cool, too, because that's Chadwick Boseman's, he gets to play Black Panther one last time.
Yep.
Sadly, we lost him over the summer, but... they did their voice lines a while ago while they were doing that. So that's great that he'll be able to play Black Panther one more time. So that's really cool.
I know. It's so exciting just to see the things that Marvel's doing, especially with this whole multiverse that we're looking at. And then the one thing that Marvel's always sort of lacked in compared to what DC was fantastic in was their animated stuff.
Right.
And so now it looks like Marvel's stepping up their game. The animation looks fantastic. The storylines look wonderful. And of course we get, our favorite actors back in their roles. Obviously Tony Stark is dead, but we're going to hear him again. Chadwick Boseman passed. We're going to hear him again. So exciting just to see what they've got planned for it. And of course, there are only so many things that they teased with the what if. What other what ifs are we going to get?
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I mean, I know I say that word a lot, but when this dropped and we watched all those trailers, it was like stimulus overload. It's like we got to do a show. Like, how do we talk about all this and give it? And then Kris and I decided, let's watch the trailers. So while we have seen the trailers before, so if you guys are watching and our reactions are not as oh my gosh, it's because we've seen them before. So, but it's nice to watch them again because there are little things that I've caught on all the trailers that I'm like, oh, I missed that. Yep. So, it's just great to do it, and I get to see these. Disney Plus, man, if you don't have it, you got to get this.
Well worth the pickup. And, they dropped so much information that, we could have done basically a 3-hour show just running down all the Marvel, all the Star Wars, all of the Disney, all of the Pixar. Just too big. So we decided to break it up into these little bite-sized bits. And what we're going to do now is run down the rest of what was announced on the Marvel side of things. Obviously, there's no video to accompany the rest of these, but we're just going to chat about them a little bit and obviously talk about what gets us excited and what we didn't even see coming. So moving on to the next one, Miss Marvel. We know that is a Disney Plus series that they've been working on based on the Miss Marvel Kamala Khan version of Miss Marvel, played by, in this case, Iman Vellani. And, I have no doubt that Marvel's going to do well with it. I got the sense from the little announcement trailer, the teaser, the behind the scenes, that it's going to be a little more of a teenage vibe. I got sort of a freeform television sort of feel to it, but I think once it's all put together, it'll play a little more MCU, a little less freeform.
Yeah, what's crazy is I'm sorry if anyone gets offended out there, but I'm not too familiar with Miss Marvel. Actually, the new Avengers game that's out, you play as her. Like, the story revolves around her going to a convention and yada yada. I was kind of thinking, oh, this is a cool game that they created, or cool character they created for the game. But no. This person has a backstory, so I should be interested to see what happens. And I know that her idol is Captain Marvel, so...
Yeah, and she's one of the newer characters to come out of the Marvel comic books. But again, and beyond our time, we don't follow the comic books as closely as we used to. And of course, she's a result of that. But Kamala Khan's Miss Marvel is going to meet the original Miss Marvel, also known as Captain Marvel in Captain Marvel 2. She is going to be the character that sort of teamed up with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. They don't have a release date for it yet, but we know that it is one of the movies that will be coming out sooner rather than later, and following the Miss Marvel series. The question is, for me at least, will Captain Marvel play into the X-Men universe in the way that she did through the comic books and her relationship to Rogue?
Ooh. Something
we might see in Captain Marvel 3, maybe?
Maybe. That'd be good. I liked Captain Marvel, the movie. It was enjoyable. I expected more out of her at Endgame. It was kind of... Her character was kind of lame in Endgame. I'm not going to lie. Like... They hyped her up to be this big badass, and that's great, especially, for women power and, for young girls to look up to have their female super, because us boys, we of course got, that's our guy, right. And then the girls do too, but you want to have that female perspective where you have like that badass female where you're like, yeah, that's my Marvel character, that's my superhero. And, it was and the way she was hyped for Endgame, like she was the big savior. It was just the execution on her character in that story, unfortunately, that fell flat, I thought.
Yeah, they were setting her up to be the character who was powerful enough to go toe-to-toe with Thanos. And, I mean, to the point where she would need no help. And, of course, she just sort of showed up at the end, sort of got the gauntlet close to the quantum van, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And that's really it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with her in Captain Marvel 2. I know that her as an actress, compared to the people she's been known to work with on Avengers, they don't really care for her that much. But,
I think that could be why the vibe, But hopefully all is well. But yeah, she seemed to have butted heads in real life with with them. But nonetheless, the first Captain Marvel movie set in the 90s was fantastic. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. And it set up something that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. Before we get to there, we've got Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, fun little name, obviously.
Quantumania, brother! When the ant takes on the wasp in an ultimate death match, brother, it's gonna be Quantumania, yeah.
We knew Scott Lang was coming back, we knew the Wasp was coming back, and we knew Peyton Reed was coming back to direct it. But the big announcement...
Oh, by the way, Peyton Reed directed, I know it's not Star Wars, but he directed the finale of Mandalorian.
Yeah. Good
Kudos
job
to you, Mr. Reed. That was well done, sir.
Oh, so good. With this, what we got out of the Disney dump was not only the name, Quantumania, but...
The Disney dump. I got child humor, dude. You say dump and you lose me. It just makes me think of poop.
But we also know who the villain is going to be. Jonathan Majors has been cast as King the Conqueror, who we kind of thought was going to be the big overall bad guy, like a Thanos for the next couple phases.
Right.
It looks like probably not. He's just going to be a one-off, and he's in the comic books known as a time traveler. In this case, my guess is that he travels through the different quantum realms, and that's where they end up running into him. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him, how he looks, because obviously he's one of the more fantastical looking characters in the comic books. You know, how do they adapt that to the big screen? And of course, the humor and fun that comes out of what you expect from the Ant-Man movies. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait. I know there was some controversy because they recast Cassie Lang, which that's fine. I think enough time by the time this drops. No offense to the original actress, but I don't think it'll be too much. Because I mean, I'm just happy they kept the little kiddo from the first and second one. She was a doll. Like, that was great. But obviously, when Scott had to go through the realm and he came back years later because he, time froze for him. He was stuck in the quantum realm. That Cassie was more grown in Endgame. That was a tearjerker moment. I thought, like the reunion, like, holy crap, my daughter's right there, but I've missed out. She's all grown up
right,
now,
and she thought he was gone and dead for those 5 years. But you're right.
It was a really sad moment.
We only got a little bit of the grown-up version of Cassie Lang, so the recasting, isn't as impactful as like a major character being recast.
Yeah, it would be like if you took Captain Marvel out, right? Like if Brie Larson left and you had to find a new Captain Marvel. It's doable, but it's a huge blow because your brain is used to seeing one thing. It can be done because they've done it with Rhodes. They went from
Terrence Howard.
His name. Yeah, thank you. That was to Don Cheadle, and then we went from Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo for the Hulk. So it definitely can be done.
Right. But I think, those characters are so far along now that it would be jarring to pull one of them out.
Yeah, you couldn't do it now. Yeah, it's like Thor. You couldn't recast Thor. You can't recast Captain America.
Well, it's what they're dealing with Black Panther too. The question is, do you recast T'Challa or do you write him out and somebody else takes up the mantle, which it looks like they're going to do, and I think that's the way to do it.
Write him off. Yeah, I think Shuri, she's I think she would be a great pick for it.
I absolutely agree.
I like her. I like her character. She's wonderful.
Well, let's move on with the next announcement. Obviously, they had been talking about it, rumors. Then the thought was that it had just sort of fallen off, that they weren't going to continue with it after the real life events of what happened with Jeremy Renner. But it has been announced that Hawkeye is official. It is coming to Disney Plus late 2021, and it centers around him training the new Hawkeye, who is played by what's her name? It's
Haley It's not Seinfeld.
Steinfeld. That's right.
Seinfeld. Yeah, she was in Bumblebee, and that was like the biggest movie I could think of that she was in.
She was in True Grit. In fact, I think she even got an Oscar nomination for that. Yeah. And great actress. I thought, when he was going to train his replacement, it was going to be his daughter from Endgame, but apparently not. But it should be fun. I mean, what they did with him as, I want to say Nomad, but that was Captain America's, Oh God, what was his character's name in
Ronan?
Ronan. That's why.
Yeah, Ronan. Yeah, when he turned into that, like, again, he went through such a weird, drastic change. I get it. He was trying to go after. He was disappointed with his, like, he was distraught by his family's death. Mm-hmm. So.
But
I'm happy. I like Jeremy Renner. I know
do too.
He's faced a lot of personal stuff, but he's my favorite. One of my favorite celebs that lives up at Lake Tahoe. I love seeing the Instagrams from home.
Oh, definitely. So, one of the funny things is Hawkeye was never one of my favorite comic book characters. And, they had the Avengers video game where you could play as Hawkeye. I never played as Hawkeye. He was lame.
No.
Jeremy Renner made him cool again. So
he did, yeah. And the crazy thing about him is he doesn't really have the superpowers. He's just a dude that has good marksmanship. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he's gone up against... and you could put Black Widow in the same thing. Like, she's not a superhero. She's just a badass, well-trained professional, just like Renner is, or Hawkeye. I lost my, I'm trying to think, what his main character name was. It was Clint.
Clint Barton.
Sorry. Blanket Clint Barton. Yeah. So their characters, they're just guys and gals that just were trained well. So that's pretty neat. So... finding Kate Bishop is going to be cool, and the fact that they're sticking to the comic book look is cool. They've been dropping leaks of their filming, and she looks good as Kate Bishop. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, you get a lot of
I can't wait to see a trailer for it.
Oh, definitely. A lot of purple in there. Now, moving on with the next one, the next original character that they've announced for a Disney Plus role, She-Hulk, and we found out...
Say hello to the She-Hulk!
We found out a couple weeks ago that Tatiana Maslany is set to star as the female Hulk, and then obviously Mark Ruffalo.
Hulk smash!
Mark Ruffalo's coming back to be Bruce Banner. Question is, do they follow close to the comic books where She-Hulk is essentially Bruce Banner's cousin, requires a blood transfusion and gets some of the Hulk's blood, and she turns into the big green She-Hulk and stays that way. She can't transform back and forth, but all of her intelligence is there, plus the strength. Totally badass. I'm looking forward to it, and I love Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner and the Hulk, and so it'll be fun to see how they play.
He's come a long way from 13 going on 30, which, by the way, I really like that movie. Had a lot of up-and-coming Marvel characters in that, believe it or not. But I like that they're going to bring back Abomination in this, too. And it's the same actor that played him
Tim Roth.
Yeah, he's going to... I'm glad you know this useless trivia off there. That really helps out with things, because I can't think of their names all the time. But it's cool that the Abomination faced off against Edward Norton's Hulk. But that is all MCU canon, so that's great that they been bringing him back. So,
yep, and it'll be fun. Obviously, I want to see trailers. I want to see trailers now. I wish they dropped trailers for all of these, but we gotta wait. The next big announcement that they made for a Disney Plus series is Moon Knight, one of the lesser-known characters. He's been around since, I want to say, the early to mid-'80s. And he is, the character's name is Mark Spector. He's a mentally ill man who's been granted the powers of an Egyptian god. And they just
like an Egyptian.
And they just recently announced that Oscar Isaac, Poe Dameron, who you mentioned earlier, is going to be playing Mark Spector. And he's always been compared to Batman. He's sort of Marvel's answer to Batman, even though it's a little bit different. Obviously, he has superpowers, but he's a vigilante. He, travels around at night battling evil. Not really familiar with who his bad guys are, so it'd be interesting to see how that all comes together. But
I feel like this one will be kind of in the realms of what we got on the early Marvel shows from Netflix. I think it'll be along the lines of like a Luke Cage or a Jessica Jones, or hell, even Iron Fist. Characters that you've heard of them, or you've seen them in the Marvel games, you've read about them in the comics, but you've never really followed because they were never that big. So I think he falls a lot into that. I think the casting choice is perfect. My first where I was introduced to Moon Knight was actually from the Zen pinball games, the FX pinball games. They had a Moon Knight table. That's the first time I've even heard of the character, to be honest with you.
Boy, that's pretty recently, within the last 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know much about him, so I'm on board. If it's Marvel, hell, I'll watch it. It's cool.
Well, and Marvel has a track record of taking unknown characters and making them famously huge. Just
Guardians
look at
of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
I knew nothing about him. I couldn't even tell you I really even knew. Like Rocket Raccoon, the first time I ever saw him was Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and he had that weird British accent.
Right.
It was weird. Yeah, I'm like, who the hell is this raccoon character? Right. So now it's synonymous, as we went with Groot at the beginning. If you would have told me you want to read a comic about a tree, a space tree that's friends with a raccoon, I'd have been like, no, I'm good.
Right. And they're poised to do it again. I mean, we've got Shang-Chi coming out here soon. We've got the Eternals coming out. And again, lesser-known Marvel properties that are bound to be huge.
Yeah, looking forward to all of these things.
Yep. So
we're not paid by Marvel. We're just geeky Marvel fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were all of the things that we knew were coming out. Then they dumped some stuff on us that we had no idea. And, of course, get us even that much more excited. For instance, we were talking Captain Marvel a little bit earlier. Well, that sets the stage for a Disney Plus series called Secret Invasion, which, of course, we thought was going to be sort of the overarching plot line for this next series of Marvel phase. But it won't be. It's going to be sort of its own standalone. Sees Samuel L. Jackson return as Nick Fury. And, of course, you get Talos, the Skrull leader. And Secret Invasion revolves around shape-shifting Skrulls that infiltrate the most important positions on Earth. And it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And, of course, who doesn't love Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. Because I love that teaser at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. Mm-hmm. Like, that was the extra credit scene, so it kind of sets it all up from there, which is cool.
Yeah, he's on Talos' ship, and Ben Mendelsohn does a great job of playing Talos, and I would assume that, that might even set up the main villain for a movie that we're excited about, we're going to talk about here, but the Super Skrull, who gains 4 powers that we'll tease that here in a little bit.
Buddy. Do you think Robin Sparkles will be in it?
Probably. Yeah.
So we'll
I think Maria Hill, she's so closely tied to Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury that
she's got to be in.
She'll be part of it.
Yeah, look forward to it.
This next one that was announced, a little surprised. Again, another newer Marvel character that I really haven't followed, but they've announced a Ironheart series, which obviously that's where after Iron Man died, there is, and I don't even know the character's name, but she ends up creating suits of armor that take over the Iron Man mantle as Ironheart. Well, Dominique Thorne is the actress that will star in this, and of course, how it ties into the whole Tony Stark thing, we don't know, because they just gave us a little tease of what's going to be happening.
Yeah, never heard of Ironheart, but again, lesser known characters getting a spotlight, and I think Disney Plus is the absolute correct way to do it, to tell a full story. That way it's not just a 2-hour like, oh, why did that happen? Like, you can actually get a story, and then you could either decide whether you like this character, you want to invest your time, or if you're good, and then you just stop, then you don't need to worry about it. But if it's Marvel, you're going to want to have to probably watch it regardless if you like it or not. It'll tie into something that you do like.
Exactly. So. And this is a great way to introduce a character like this, because normally if you were to make an Ironheart movie, the diehard Marvel fanboys who, they're the ones that go on and write all the vitriol. They won't go out and see a female Iron Man. On Disney Plus, they might be forced to, and they might actually like it. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of Iron Man and what happened there, another big announcement they dropped were Armor Wars, which series centers on Rhodes, James Rhodes, Don Cheadle, and War Machine, and basically dealing with the fallout of his old friend Tony Stark's technology falling into the wrong hands. Again, Armor Wars was a comic book storyline throughout the Iron Man series, and it'll be fun to see War Machine back at it again. Even though we don't have Tony Stark Iron Man, I always loved War Machine.
War Machine's badass, yeah. And I really liked playing him in the early Marvel vs. Capcom games. Those were a lot of fun. I think Don Cheadle is just awesome in that role, too. He's a good Rhodes. He was always the keep Stark centered kind of guy, you know.
Yeah, and he and Robert Downey Jr. had this great rapport too. I mean, just look at the
really
whole
did.
Tony Stank scene.
You didn't really get a chance to feel that in the first Iron Man with him and Terrence Howard. Like, I'm not saying they didn't have chemistry, because you were just getting to know who these characters were. Because, I mean, shoot, at that time, you know, Iron Man, you knew, I always knew of Iron Man, but did you know the stories and stuff? Unless you read the comics, you didn't know.
Right. Or watch the 90s cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's another thing that was announced that I was a little surprised by, but when you really think about it and who's involved, it shouldn't be too surprising. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Disney revealed that the cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will shoot a Disney Plus special due to release during the holiday season of 2022, just ahead of the third film's release. But it's James Gunn. What else would you expect? I mean, he's got that playful...
As the nerd world turns, it's another James Gunn story.
It doesn't surprise me more that they would do this, and that is the team, that is the cast to do any sort of holiday special with. You know,
it's gonna be great, man.
You wouldn't expect one with, you know, the Falcon and Winter Soldier. You wouldn't expect one with, you know, Ant-Man and the Wasp. But Guardians of the Galaxy, it'll be fun.
Absolutely, and it just got me smiling. It's so much like I almost last night after watching Mandalorian, I almost thought about watching the Lego Star Wars holiday special, but my eyes were heavy, so I was like, yeah. I think I do want to watch it though.
Well, when we do our Star Wars one, we'll talk more about it. I've seen it, and it's enjoyable, but you know.
Okay, I'll have to watch it so I can discuss with you.
There you go.
But yeah, man, Guardians holiday special sounds good.
That'll be fun. Now, speaking of Guardians, and of course, you know, the most lovable character in the Guardians galaxy, Groot, is getting his own animated Marvel short series following Baby Groot, that Baby Groot, on Disney Plus, and that'll be fun. You know, it's I assume that James Gunn again will have a lot of influence into what happens with those, and I think it'll be along the lines of you know, the Pixar shorts. You know, it'll be fun, it'll be wholesome and playful.
Yeah, I think it'll be good, especially when he starts going.
I am Groot.
I had to play the big one after, so it didn't just keep looping.
Exactly. So that'll be fun. And then, you know what? I'm going to skip ahead one because I'm going to save the most exciting part for last.
But, yeah, I like it.
Thor: Love and Thunder, we knew it was coming out. Obviously, Taika Waititi's back. Chris Hemsworth is back. We've got Chris Pratt, who's going to be joining the cast as Star-Lord. You've got Natalie Portman, who's going to become the new Thor. And then they just announced that Christian Bale, who we knew was going to be part of it, many people thought that he was going to be Beta Ray Bill. Well, it's just announced that he's going to be the main villain, Gore the God Butcher, a man who blames all the gods for the death of his family. And
oh, good for you!
while I don't know much about Gore the God Butcher, what I do know is that he played a major part in the Thor storyline and was probably the most vicious villain that he's ever gone up against. And Christian Bale, I mean, without a doubt, is the actor to play that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Taika Waititi in it. If it has that flow and vibe from the last one, it's got Natalie Portman. It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be
just
so good.
you know, if it has the vibe of Ragnarok, which I think it will. It's gonna be exciting, man.
Oh, so looking forward to that so much. And then finally, the last announcement, which is something that since they acquired the Fox rights back, we knew was coming. We didn't know how it was going to play out, but this sets the stage for what we're looking to even more. We're talking Fantastic Four has been confirmed with Spider-Man director John Watts on board. You know, Spider-Man 3 is shooting right now. John Watts, after this, is basically going to be done with the Spider-Man series because then it goes back over to Sony. He's got a great eye. He's got a great tone. Why not bring him in for Fantastic Four? And he had been working on a Fantastic Four script for a long time. And so I think he's the right person to do it. We're going to see, you know, the first family of Marvel coming in hopefully the right way. Obviously, the last Fantastic Four movie was terrible. The first two ones were fun, but they weren't quite right.
Yeah, the Fox ones weren't the first two Fox ones weren't too bad. Where Chris Evans, would it be funny if he came back and played the Human Torch again?
That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. They were bad. Jessica Alba was great. I mean, they were fun movies for what they were. Silver Surfer that one kind of was,
Right, where Galactus is a giant fart cloud, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I hope the real Galactus is the big bad for the second phase, because if they do Galactus right, it's a scary thing, man.
Oh, definitely, and
frightening.
And it sets up to what we were talking about with the Secret Invasion, with Super Skrull, who gains the powers of all 4 members of the Fantastic Four. He could be a great foe for this first Fantastic Four movie, where most people would expect, well, Doctor Doom. We're going to see Doctor Doom again. Don't do Doctor Doom again. Save him. Save him for a little bit later
Save him for something, because he's a badass villain if done right.
Exactly.
No offense to Dr. Christian from Nip Tuck, but he did his best. For what it was at the time, it was aight. The last one, the Josh Trank one, what a piece of crap. That was just terrible.
Purely garbage. But yeah. And of course, this sets the stage
Michael B. Jordan did good, though. I thought he did well for being Johnny Storm, and I'm glad he went over to the Black Panther series, because he was a bitchin' villain there.
Yes, he was. But of course, that movie being announced sets the stage for what we're really looking forward to is the new X-Men. How that's going to be introduced into the MCU. They've got big plans for them, and ultimately, I'd love to see maybe in the overarching story for the next set of phases, Avengers versus X-Men. Who knows?
Yeah. That would be sweet. I'm looking forward to. Gosh, there's so many Marvel things coming out. Obviously with COVID, it's delayed a lot of these things. But I love that in 2021 we're at least getting a couple of those movies are finally coming. I'm bummed here in Colorado where I live. The theaters are shut down. Like, I didn't realize I couldn't even just go see a cheapy movie. Because I haven't been in a long time.
Such a bummer.
So I can't go watch Monster Hunter. I can't go watch Wonder Woman 84. So hopefully when Marvel starts bringing movies back, because they're supposed to start rolling these back in, is it March they're going to start it, or is it May?
I think it's March when Black Widow.
The Eternals, right?
Isn't it Black Widow first?
Yeah, Black Widow got pushed to May.
Okay.
But I was thinking they were doing the I don't know. The Eternals is late summer. I don't know their new slate. It's weird. But we're supposed to get that. Whatever we're supposed to get this year, we're supposed to get next year. I don't know. I'm so confused.
Either way, we are getting it eventually. And
eventually,
with all of these new announcements, I mean, just super, super exciting. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and end this episode here, because we have so much to talk about with Star Wars that we're going to do that tomorrow. Go ahead.
Before we wrap it, though, who do you think should be Reed Richards and Mrs. Fantastic? I know who the two leading candidates are, and I'm actually quite happy with those choices if they go that route.
What I would love to see is a real life couple, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
That's exactly who I want to see too, and those are the rumored to be it. And their husband and wife, their dynamic's great. Their dynamic was great in A Quiet Place, so obviously husband and wife could work well together. John Krasinski has just transformed from lovable, goofy Jim Halpert from The Office to a bona fide badass, being Jack Ryan and in the Tom Clancy show. Jack Ryan,
right?
And and he's done was it 13 Hours, the military movie or something like that. He's really good. So I think he has that good witty, like Reed Richards. I can be kind of funny, but I can be serious and just awesome. And then I think Emily Blunt just fits perfect for that. So
absolutely. Yeah, it'll be fun. Obviously we'll get more casting news as it comes about, and all of these projects will start getting trailers that drop as the months go on. So
and I love they at least had a logo for it. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, Fantastic Four is coming. I mean, it was full on logo, and they even saved it towards the end there. Like, it's happening. We've announced it. It's happening.
Absolutely,
they confirm it, which is nice, because now you're starting to see things like in their video games and the other stuff now, X-Men and Fantastic Four characters are now being added into these things, so that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. As Martha Stewart would say, it's a good thing. Well, folks,
it's a good thing.
That does it for this bite-sized episode with our Disney dump on Marvel. Of course, we are going to do a Star Wars one separately for you guys to check out. But you know what? I think we got a lot covered today. We'll leave it there, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.